So, again, my name's Hannah. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist. I work in cardiac and pulmonary rehab. I work with patients who have heart disease and have recently had some type of intervention, whether it be a bypass or a stent. Some patients have heart failure. But I work with them through structured exercise to kind of increase their functional capacity, teach them new dietary things that they might not know before. I help with smoking cessation, and just trying to change those little lifestyle habits that are actually very, very impactful. Okay, so to start, we've got the functions of the cardiovascular system. That includes your heart, your blood vessels, which are your veins and arteries, and the blood. Your blood is going to transport oxygen and nutrients to the organs of your body, and the veins are going to bring that deoxygenated blood back from your extremities back to your heart to pump to your lungs to resend back out to your lungs to receive oxygen. So the heart is pretty crucial for the rest of the organs in your body, because that is what's delivering that oxygen and those nutrients for them to fully function as well. Okay, so I'll kind of show you how everything works. So we've got our capillaries that go all the way down to our toes and then our fingers. All of those are being pumped out with oxygen, and on their way back, they're being sent up in blue into, I touched it. Oops.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's sorry, I should have warned you.
It's okay. So back into blue, they're gonna pump into your right atrium, and through there, it goes through a valve into the right ventricle, and that will pump the blood to your lungs. And when the blood reaches your lungs and then the capillaries, that's where there's some oxygen. Did I touch it again?
No worries.
Oh my gosh. There's oxygen exchange. And once the oxygen exchange happens, it goes back, and this is going to be your pulmonary vein that is going to dump into your left atrium. Through there, it will go through another valve, and then it's going to go through your aorta. And when it pumps, that is bringing those nutrients and the oxygen back through. I'm sorry. It's going to bring all that oxygen back up and send it back through your body, and then the cycle will continue.
Cool.
Okay. So the cardiac cycle has two different phases. The first phase is diastole. This is when your ventricles are filling with blood. The blood it got cut off. How do you?
Here.
Sorry. The blood vessels again are returning that either deoxygenated blood to the right atrium or the oxygenated blood into the left in preparation for the next contraction of the ventricles. The second phase is systole. This is when the ventricles are contracting and inject blood to the body and or in the lungs. This also makes up your blood pressure, where, as most of you know, it's systolic over diastolic. So the systolic pressure is the amount of force and the pressure in your arteries when it's contracting. So when it's higher, your veins or your arteries are a little bit more hardened, and there's much more pressure. So you can expect that to go up with exercise, should be lower with rest. And the diastolic pressure is the amount of pressure when your ventricles are relaxed and not contracting.
Ready?
Yeah. Okay. So here's a chart on what a normal blood pressure is. Normal should be 120 or less for systolic. Diastolic should be 80 or less. Elevated is 120 to 129 or anything less than 80. High blood pressure, now this is where your doctor might start to intervene, but also in these two categories, this can be controlled through lifestyle changes such as exercise and diet, but if there's other risk factors, your doctor might also prescribe you medicine. So if you get up to 140 or higher, well, they'll take it at 2 different times on 2 separate occasions, and if it's higher, that's when you would be diagnosed with high blood pressure. If you're ever higher than 180, you need to seek medical attention as soon as you can. That is a medical emergency, and contact your doctor. So high blood pressure is also called hypertension, and the risk for that is it can lead to stroke, heart failure, because your heart's just working so hard against that peripheral resistance in your arteries, heart attack, vision loss, because it can ruin the arteries in your eyes, kidney disease and failure, and some types of sexual dysfunction. Treatments include the lifestyle changes such as exercise and diet changes, specifically low sodium. If you have too much sodium, you can retain fluid, and that makes it harder to pump that blood. Weight reduction, moderation of alcohol consumption, preferably none, and medication just based on your risk for cardiovascular disease. So ACSM puts out general recommendations for heart healthy living, but this is actually just in general that everybody should be doing. So for adults should be getting about 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity aerobic activity, or 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity each week. Preferably a combination of both. If you do one or the other, that's okay, but they like you to mix it up as well. Also try to add in some resistance training at least 2 days per week. A little means a lot. So spend less time sitting, keep moving. I work with a lot of people that can't do basic daily tasks. It's very, very difficult for them, and I tell them even if they kind of get up and do a lap around the house, something is better than nothing. And we always tell them a body in motion stays in motion. It's really important. It's so hard to gain that functional capacity up, but it's so easy to lose it, and it can happen so fast. Some examples of moderate intensity aerobic activity is like a brisk walk, water aerobics, tennis, gardening, biking, and vigorous can be jumping rope, swimming laps, running, and hiking uphill. That's going to be much more intense exercise. And another important factor that should be considered for everybody is heart healthy dieting. Burn as many calories as you take in daily. If you want to lose weight, you need to burn more than what you're taking in. Have a wide variety of fruits and veggies. Those have, they're less calorie dense, higher in fiber, can help protect against cardiovascular disease. Whole grains, that can help regulate blood pressure too, such as legumes, nuts, fish, low fat or non-fat dairy. Minimize processed foods. That's just in general for any type of disease. It's so bad for you to be eating the fast food and it seems that so many things are processed nowadays. It's just quick and easy, but it's horrible for you. Minimize the intake of added sugar, and prepare food with little or no salt. If you can find things that have reduced sodium, that's always just like little things that you can find to change in your diet. And again, limited or preferably no alcohol intake. Last thing, I'm sorry. And another big thing is tobacco avoidance or cessation. If you are struggling to quit, talk with your primary doctor, or if you have a cardiologist or pulmonologist. There are plenty of resources that are available for you to quit smoking. It helps nothing. I have current smokers in my pulmonary rehab, and it's hard to improve them when they are negating everything that they just did in rehab. So it's very, very important. Smokers are at bigger risk for cardiovascular disease. They can cause strokes and coronary heart disease. Smoking damages your blood vessels. It will restrict them, it hardens them, so it makes them more narrow. That's gonna increase your blood pressure. That's gonna make your heart work harder. And after a while, with so much peripheral resistance, your heart is gonna get weaker. So increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, clots can form, and that's where it can also lead to a stroke. Smoking cessation is so important, including vape. I can't tell you how many people that we see that are still smoking, and we're trying to work with them. It's very hard, but it is doable. Just take one day at a time and cut back. You can do it.
This is such great information. So your mom and your mom and I, we do tobacco cessation, and this is the same stuff that we talk about. And I just want to go back to this slide. We also do a prevent type 2 diabetes course, and this right here is a big part of what we talk about, especially this minimized processed food stuff. Do you guys ever work with like nutritionists or anything?
So person that we do an intake on, and we actually have them fill out a survey. It's called Rate Your Plate.
Okay, yeah.
And you score it. If they score very well, we kind of leave it alone, or if they're really poor, we can put in referral to the nutritionist, or we have diabetic educators, because
Okay,
that's such a big comorbidity. I can't tell you, most of our patients that come in with cardiac issues are also diabetic. And they come in if they've got
hand in
such,
hand normally,
yeah, and they're fasting blood sugars in the morning, they'll tell us, oh, it was 210. That's horrible, and that's,
Mhm.
you know, when they're even taking insulin. So weight reduction and limiting those sugars can really help with that too. It's so important. Exercise can help, you know, lower those blood sugar levels, lowering your blood pressure. That's so much you can do.
One of the questions that we get a lot is, you know, like, just basic questions about like how to minimize processed foods, and in that Prevent to Diabetes course, there's a specific class just about going to the grocery store and where to find the healthier stuff in comparison to the more processed stuff. And a rule of thumb that we tend to stick to is, when it comes, like, if this screen is your grocery store and these are your aisles up and down, normally the healthiest stuff is gonna be on the outer edge of most grocery stores. Like, you're gonna have your, you know, like vegetables over here and the frozen stuff, and it's in the aisles in between where you're gonna find the processed crap, the sugary crap.
Or
So,
even on display, because it's
On display, yep.
tasty. It's
Mhm.
all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So it sucks because it tastes good, but it's horrible for you.
Mhm.
But I mean, you can take healthy options, and you can kind of make it what you want.
Yeah.
You can make those taste good as well.
Mhm.
It's not as fun, but it's beneficial in the end.
Absolutely. No, the timing of this couldn't be more perfect, because it's actually Heart Health Month.
Mhm.
So, we can't tell you how much we, you know, appreciate you coming in and educating us on
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff is really important, and it's really simple on paper, but it's harder to do in real life, so.
Yeah, and we have, like, I have a guy in rehab, he just graduated, he's 52, very, very young, in great shape. He had a heart attack, he had a stent. It's not always the people, it's not limited to one specific type of person. Like, I've seen a lot. I have a 37-year-old that came in with a heart attack. It seems that they get younger and younger and younger. So it's super important, and it's never too late to make a change. And, you know, if you think that you're at risk for things, I would definitely talk to your primary care doctor and get into a cardiologist and see, because it's very, very important.
That's such great, you know, advice, and true, it is never too late to try to make a change, make an improvement, so.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions for Hannah? Abolitious?
I told you, don't ask questions.
I do not have any questions. I was thinking about asking some, but I thought I'd leave her alone.
Go ahead.
But it was so thorough that she covered everything.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Hannah, this was great, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
we
for taking
really
the time. We
appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Great information.
And plus, we get to see the baby.
Plus, we get to see the baby.
That was the real reason we were all here,
Exactly.
right?
Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hannah, thank you very much for taking the time to come in. We really appreciate it. This was great.
Look, there's Aunt Abby. Say hi, Abby.
Georgie!
Okay.
Hi.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you.
Thanks, Hannah.
Bye.